want the transcripts. So I think we have a critical mass. Let's get started with our April senior task force meeting. I don't know if everybody knows Max Vanderbilt, but he is our new district manager. He was our assistant district manager, but he's now the official district manager.
Thank you.
And he's also facilitates these meetings for us. So the working group met on Tuesday, and I think Mark has some excellent plans for our 3-part senior forum series. Mark, you want to?
All right, I'll try to take it away and be thorough and brief. I'll try to do both things. So just as a recap, we have been talking about doing a housing sort of education symposium for seniors in the community board as a target. We broke that down into sort of 3 buckets: obtaining housing, maintaining housing, which is crisis services and other things, and then thriving in housing, which is sort of resources that are in the community that people can access to be able to just do beautiful things and wonderful things in their housing and in the community and neighborhood. And so with that being said, the first task was sort of beginning to identify who might be experts or other experts in those sort of bucket areas. And so just to start with obtaining housing, some of the research that I've done, I was able to talk with, well, let me back up and say, I talked with a number of folks. Some people gave me referrals, like the Supportive Housing Network of New York, gave me referrals to other individuals to talk with. And everyone that I spoke with thought that what we were doing was a great idea. And want to be a part of it in any way that they can, whether that's just on a resource guide or other things. But in terms of obtaining housing, just kind of conceptually, I was able to talk to Caitlin Andrews of Live On, who does a lot of their housing work. And I think we all are familiar with Live On. And Caitlin is definitely primed to be able to talk about the types of housing that are in the community board, whether that's HUD, 202, Mitchell Lama, giving people an opportunity to really understand. I always say there's a building, and from the outside, they all look like buildings, they all look like apartments, but what's behind them in the type of housing that they are, we don't always know. And so to give people information to be informed about what they may be applying to, what are some of the differences in that, was the ambition there. So that's a person who said, yes, just whenever we get things together, let's reach back out. Additionally, there was some talk about, in this session, in terms of obtaining housing is the one that needs a little bit more work in terms of locking in persons. But I was told that HPD has contracted folks, what they call housing ambassadors, which are organizations that help individuals with wait list and the what is that system called? The connects. What is the system? HPD.
Housing Connect.
Housing Connect. That's what I was looking for. It was escaping me this morning. So with the Housing Connect system, and so ideally, a second person or individual would be able to really talk to the audience about those systems and how they work, some of the nuts and bolts, ones and twos, what to do, what to remember, what to think about, because a lot of the properties are going to be operationalized through Housing Connects when they come online, or if there are vacancies or if lists open. And so that would sort of be the obtaining housing section. There's an opportunity perhaps if we have, I mean, it may be 2, just if it's robust enough. Each session we were talking about being again, as recap, about an hour and a half, sort of a half hour presentation with leaving 45 minutes or so of Q&A and thinking about 15 to 20 minutes of other speakers in case we have elected officials or other persons that might want to come into the sessions as we get them started to be able to bring greetings and other things. There's also an opportunity, Courtney Christensen from the Corporation for Supportive Housing was the lead person in doing a healthy aging initiative for tons of landlords in the supportive housing world. She may be able to offer some opportunity to talk about some of the accommodations that can be asked for when you're coming into housing, as well as sort of bleeding a little bit into the second session when you're in housing. And I think those are important just as well, just trying to figure out where that particularly fits. But that would be sort of the first session, live on, housing ambassador / someone from HPD to talk about the Housing Connect, and perhaps the accommodation section would be here. And obviously there would be a moderator in each session. And so that's obtaining housing and where we are. So I don't know if it's okay to just kind of work through, or do you want to pause?
No, but why don't you do the whole thing and then we can.
Okay, great. So for maintaining housing, again, this one we've gotten a lot of response. So the Human Rights Commission said, yes, sure. Kajori from theirs, when you get it together, let us know. We'll be present. We'll have somebody there. Kim Lerner from Live On is able to talk about screening and other benefits and entitlements. And then Tasha McGill, who is with SUS, she's the program director for Home Base. And Home Base is that crisis center. So if you call 311, many times that you'll be referred to Home Base. If you're in an eviction process, you'll be referred to Home Base for eviction prevention services. And so they're all on board to be able to, and let me say, Home Base, SUS is the only home base provider for Manhattan. So this is the entity that people would be able to come to, and she's primed to be able to talk about their processes and help people know what services they can get. One of the things she told me when we were having an initial conversation was that sometimes when people call 311, depending on how you push buttons or answer the sort of the robo questions, you may or may not get to their department. And so being able to get there directly is something that she's able to help people to understand. And also a lot of people envision Home Base as only sort of homeless services, when in reality is actually not just that. And so those are some of the other things that she'll be able to bring alive in that section. And so that's maintaining housing. And then lastly, in terms of the thriving in housing, this portion we thought about utilizing us and thinking about community-based resources that people can connect to be able to continue to thrive as they live out the years in the housing environment. We thought here that, I mean, we went through several different scenarios. And this one we want to open up for more discussion, all of them for more discussion, but this one for some extra more discussion to be able to just finalize a few things. But we were definitely thinking about the possibility of the rote. Is it searching care? Is that
yeah, Robin is there.
Right. And perhaps in Lighthouse Guild as potential to be able to talk about. I know there's a lot of resources in those organizations alone, but then we also have several other organizations. And so we were trying to figure out, what's best to have tons of sort of little splashes from multiple organizations, or sort of a little bit more robust conversation from several organizations, but we want to be able to open that up for some conversation as well. And then some other things that we thought that we needed to really just discuss today is, at least logistically, next steps is sort of, we talked about for each of those sessions, we'll be bringing the potential speakers together, talking making sure that everybody's on one accord as we move forward. And we need to think about sort of what are our dates going to be, because that will impact who can speak and who can't, and some of the other logistics if they're on vacation or other things, and sort of lock in out, making sure that we are still on one accord in terms of it being Zoom sessions, and some of our earlier conversations we need to come back to about whether we're going to have what we call those the satellite sites, etc. So there's definitely still more to hammer out in today's session.
And to add one more thing to that, we're going to be working on a resource guide with Ed and Gail Brewer's office, so that the guide would be ready by the time we have these programs, and it will have at some point in the following weeks. I'm going to be talking to each of the different organizations that are part of our senior task force to do a blurb about what your group is doing, and how people can reach out if they're in the community. So what we need to do now is figure out some of the logistics, and also get your opinions about the points that Mark just went through. So Robin, we didn't talk to you about it, but we thought if we limited to 3, it would be Lighthouse, Guild, DeRote, and Sharon Care, just because the 3 of you offer unique services that help people stay in their home.
We would be privileged. Thank you.
So that's where we are. I mean, any comments, concerns, at least there.
We've looked at models of what people like Liz Kruger and some other organizations have done, and it seems to be most effective to have half an hour to 40 minutes max of talking heads, and then a robust Q&A. So we have to figure out whether we want to do it 3 weeks in a row, whether we want to do it every other week, how we want to do it. We're thinking starting mid-May, best time of the day, and whether we also want to have satellite locations.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Eddie. Good to see you all this morning. Just wanted to update you. I emailed Mark and Roberta. We have pulled someone on to work on the senior. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry. We've pulled someone in to work on the senior resource directory with us, who's excited about the project. Gail and Shula are meeting with someone this morning about updates to the senior directory, so we're excited to get that done. In my opinion, for should we do everything 1 week? I think that's a good structure. I saw Housing Court Answers did a series of housing workshops, and each of them were each week, and I thought that was a good structure.
So it's the same day every week?
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, I just want to be clear, because I'm hearing that as once a week for a 3-week period versus 3 days in 1 week.
Right, that's what I was thinking quickly, but also
Okay.
we have to think of logistics. I mean, I don't know. I think we all kind of know how to run Zooms at this point, but barring logistics, I think the best way to present it is on a weekly basis, if possible.
Yeah, I'm agreed.
And Lighthouse Guild has agreed to help us create the flyer for the publicity, and to help us with publicity. And then we assume that each of you will send out the information to your to all of your people.
Yep. Ed, regarding the resource guide, how is the best way for us to give you in your office our most accurate, up-to-date information, and is there ways we can support the development of that guide to make sure we're all represented in there?
Absolutely. I can't drop it in the chat, but if maybe Roberta could email out my information, I'd be happy to talk offline more. You're welcome to send us your ideas, and we're totally open to having conversations. So thank you for that.
Great.
And Edward, I would also assume that perhaps a draft will be ready at some point, or that we'll be able to look at and be able to add some comment to as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I know it's been a little bit of a slow moving process. Thank you for your patience, but we're on it. We've got our arms wrapped around it and it's priority now. So I'll be keeping you all updated.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, it's also important because, for example, many of the organizations provide different kinds of services, so that, you know, they should be listed under food as well as under technical support, as well as under, you know, a variety of. And it's nice that, you know, to be able to cross-reference.
And then just kind of going back to sort of date and time, right? I know we discussed end of May, beginning of June. If we're going to do 3 weeks in a row, I'm thinking keeping it in 1 month versus crossing over months might be a little easier, at least for my feeble mind. And so that I'm throwing my hat in that if it would be June, and thinking 3 weeks in a row in that particular days to be determined.
Great. And I wanted to say too, Gail would be happy to be involved in this. So if you want her to kick off one of these seminars or take part in one of these seminars, just let me know so I can get it on her calendar, okay?
Oh no, we definitely want her to be part. And I was thinking maybe the thriving one, because she has been involved in the food program.
Right. You said Friday.
Excuse me?
Did you say Friday?
The thriving one.
Oh, understood. Sorry.
It's okay. You know, and she can talk about, and obviously during the maintaining one, we should talk about the clinics that she and Goddard provide every month.
Definitely great.
Aaron from Goddard could not come today. He's at a conference on aging. But you know, they're willing to provide, if we do if we do it off some locations, they'd be willing to use their locations. If we want to do it in May, the 17th, I think it's the 17th, 24th, and 31st are Tuesdays in May.
So I'm suggesting June, just because we're at the end of April, and that gives us a month to continue some of the planning, getting our resource guide and everything ready. And I think within a month's time, we could really have everything completed. So that way, whether the first full week of June, or meaning the week of the 5th, and sort of flowing from there would be, and again, I'm not selecting a day, but just saying, logistically, I think that works for me. There's going to need to be a number of meetings that are going to have to pull together the panelists, make sure they have their whatever they have ready, making sure everybody gets out dates, RSVPs, making sure the Zoom links are set, making sure we have the marketing materials, making sure that gets out in enough time for people to see it prior to get it on their calendars, and those sort of things.
So what day of the week do people think is best? We need to pick a day and a time.
Right. So I don't think this is good for the evening, right? You think, especially given our audience, this is a good daytime thing. Do you think post-lunch or pre-lunch?
Well, that's what we're thinking, one or the other.
That's the $1 million question, is time. Right? So is it?
I think Paula wants to.
Yeah.
We do a lot of events at Lilly, and we found that 2 o'clock is sort of the sweet spot. We have a lot of late risers, but we also have early risers. Anything we've done in the morning has been much less successful in terms of attendance. By 2, even the late risers have gotten up, had their breakfast, they're ready to go. or even, one, but, we have not been terribly successful in getting large groups to attend if we do something at 10 or 11.
Yeah, I'm agreed.
Mark, what time is lunch usually at the senior centers?
Lunches are early lunch, right? 11:30, 12-ish. So, at 2 p.m. would work great. I'm always told for anything we do on an employee side that 2 p.m. allows for our workers to have everything wrapped up in the centers and be able to participate. So if we're thinking about utilizing some of the sites too as spaces, that would be optimal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you took 3 Wednesdays, so it would be June 8th, 15th, and 22nd. Does that work?
Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar, so as of now, that looks really good.
And that gives us time to get things in place.
Yeah, and this really helps with, and Paul, I see you, and this really does help with my conversations with the potential speakers, because I don't know if they're, again, going to be away. Being able to give them some preliminary dates will help lock in a few more things. So thanks for this.
Paula, did you want to say something?
Yes. The question I always get is, will this be recorded whenever we do an event? Because there's inevitably people that have appointments or conflicts. They always want to know if something's going to be recorded.
If it's on Zoom, we definitely can record it, which is one advantage of Zoom.
Roberta?
Yeah.
Just a question. Can we publicize this a little in the public libraries?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The librarians are always thrilled to have put up flyers.
Yeah, so I think logistically, probably by mid-May, we should be able to have the flyers and the marketing together. So that'll help with our mid-May deadline, I think, perhaps.
Like it gives us 6 weeks to get, by the end of May, if we have everything in place. Certain, or mid-May maybe, to get the flyers ready. And then Mark was planning to have a run through with whoever's participating for each of the sessions ahead of time, just to make sure everybody knows what the other person is talking about, and making sure there are no technical glitches.
Roberta, could we also get flyers to the synagogues and churches?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you gave me an email, but we can go over that again. And then what we should also, I'm going to ask each of you a couple of things. We should have flyers for any programs that are upcoming that any of you guys are doing, so we can add that to the resource guide. And if we do meet locally, we can hopefully hand out some stuff, as opposed to just having it. Having the resource guide online is fabulous, but not everybody has access to online. So, And I think one of the things we want to do is get the resource guides into the libraries, in a printed form. Okay, so that's all good. The other thing is community board we're now looking at our district needs for the budget year 2024. So I'm going to ask each of you to start thinking about either budget or district needs that CB7 can advocate for work that you guys are doing. And I'll contact each of you separately. Daniel hasn't been with us for a while. I know he wanted to tell us a little bit what's happening.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Apologies for missing the last two meetings.
So we have a few members, so maybe you want to just say who.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Dan. I come from the Mount Sinai Department of Emergency Medicine. So my role focuses on communications broadly for all of our emergency departments across the health system. And that includes 8 emergency departments, 6 urgent cares, and our virtual urgent care platform, our community paramedicine platform. So we have our hands in a lot of places across the city and a lot of communities. So that's a little bit about me and my role. A little exciting news that is relevant to this community here is our Mount Sinai Hospital on East 98th Street on the east side opened the new Children's Emergency Department last week. And this is an incredible step forward in emergency care across the city. So this is a dedicated emergency department for children, ages 22 and under. And this is a part of a 5-year redesign of our emergency department on the east side. And further phases are going to include a brand new geriatric emergency department. I don't have the timeline on that, but that is part of the phasing. So that's an exciting update. I'll drop the link in the chat for that. Otherwise, I'm here to understand how we can support. We've done things in the past about sending hand sanitizers out and being in person back in 2019, but we're still not there on exactly what we can do in the Upper West Side. So I'm listening into a lot of these conversations.
Daniel, unfortunately, we're not allowed to use the chat, so we don't have chat on this, but if you send the information to me, I'll forward it to everybody.
Oh, perfect. I will do that. Thank you.
And I know that Kay hasn't been with us in a while. And I'm just wondering how, I know that food prices have gone up. How has it affected WISCA?
Yeah, it puts a drag on the budget, but I think people understand that we've been able to raise more food funds so far. So good, but it also means that there's an increased demand on the emergency food because people are not able to stretch their food budget like they used to for their families. So yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
I just also want to repeat that we are able to deliver groceries through DoorDash to seniors if they're at home and reluctant or unable to come out. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Good morning, Reverend. How are you? Eddie from Gail Brewer's office. Just curious, how long have you been partnered with DoorDash on this work?
How long?
Yes.
Year and a half. It's a COVID thing.
Understood. Do you see that partnership as ongoing? Are you happy with them as a partner?
Happy with DoorDash? Is anyone? It's working. It's working. So I think so.
Okay.
Do they donate food, or you're just using their services?
We're using their services.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we provide the food and it's delivered by them.
Yeah.
We're also starting to do with this one, this is a limited pilot program of getting back to people being able to choose what food comes to them. That's not ready for the individual delivery stuff yet. We're just piloting that partly through New York Presbyterian and some of our other partners to be able to give people, this is what, tell us what you want, we'll bring you what you ask for. But that's not quite up and running. It's more like in the planning stages.
Paula? I think Paula had a question. Yeah. And the Transportation Committee, CB7, had been told a while ago that if we request APSs, which are the little buttons on the lights at the corner that you can press if you have vision impairment, and it rings and tells you whether you can cross safely or not, that if we know there are locations where there are people with visual impairments, let's say en route to to the church, en route to a senior center, we can request them in our budget request to DOT. And the other thing we can request are benches. But I mean, they have to meet DOT's requirements and they have to meet your budget, but we can also request, those little metal benches, so that if a senior is walking, say 5 blocks to the senior center for lunch, it can only walk 2 blocks without having to stop to rest. We could request a bench on that route. Usually it's on a main street, a main avenue, not a side street, unless it's a very wide sidewalk. So I'm just telling you all that so you can, when you're walking around the Upper West Side, if you know of a spot, just let us know.
Did that go through the Transportation Committee?
Well, it would be, our task force would request it to the Transportation Committee, and then it would go into the budget request for next year.
I'm going to send you some pictures of perhaps maintenance of some of the benches that we put in, if they can think about that, because that's been something that we've been trying to figure out, is who maintains and paints, or people are sitting and using them. We have
I'll get you that information. Yeah,
that'd be great.
But for example, on Broadway, you have the benches in the middle of the street. I often see people who are resting in between their route to wherever else they're going. Does anybody else? I didn't call on everybody, but I don't know if Ellen, you want to say something, or Jennifer, or someone that hasn't spoken.
Yeah, updates from DeRote. We will be starting our we started our in-home programming face-to-face with volunteers, just moving very, very slowly, and older adults who we've had a social worker go into their home, make sure they're okay, vaccination, documents uploaded and all of that. So we're slowly but surely getting back to our in-person, in-home services. And this summer we'll be opening our doors of our auditorium, reduced capacity, distanced community programming. So hopefully that will slowly but surely start again.
Excellent. Jen, did you want to say something about JCC?
Sure. We are at the end phases of planning all our spring and summer programming. So that'll be, most of it's online already, and we're still adding some things. We're about 50-50 in person and virtual. I think we'll probably continue that at least through the fall. It seems like people like being home for certain programs, and especially educational, informational, health-based ones. People are comfortable being at home for those, but they want to come here and play mahjong and do in-person fun things. So we're seeing a split.
Maggie, did you?
Hi, everyone. So similar at Lighthouse, we are seeing patients in person, but we are still keeping our remote offerings available because we found it's really beneficial for people in New York, and then we're able to reach people outside of New York through our adult telesupport group, our virtual book club, and now we are beginning to plan for some more summer programs to add. But also, I just wanted to let everyone know we recently received a grant to develop a program integrational technology training project called TechPal, and we're partnering with cyber seniors. And the goal of this is for younger students, younger generation, to teach older adults how to effectively use their mobile devices and tablets, which is something that we get asked about every day, and I'm sure you do too. So we're really excited to launch that. And again, that's through a collaborative partnership that we have with cyber seniors. So as we have more information, I will definitely keep you updated.
That's great. Did I miss anybody? Do we want to schedule our next meeting? Oops. Then the second Thursday would be May 11th. Does that work for everybody?
I think it's the 12th, no?
Is it the 12th?
Yes,
Great.
it's the 12th.
Okay, the 12th, thank you. Appreciate that. And anyone that sends me information, I will share with the whole group. So Dan will send me stuff about Mount Sinai, and I'll forward that. But if anybody else has anything they want, and I'll also share Eddie's email with everybody so you can be in touch with him. And Eddie, we're glad from CB7 to help with the resource guide.
Fantastic, thank you.
We have limited information, but we do have information. Well then, if nobody has anything to add, I'm going to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. And we'll see you all in May.
Great. Take care, everyone. Great to
Thank
see
you so much. Be well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.